If you saw the headlines this week, then you would be under the impression that Meghan Markle and Prince William have just entered into a royal celebrity death match for the Emmys. But before you believe any viral royal rumors that Meghan self-nominated, or that there's some crazy business going on, or that they're going head-to-head for the same award, it's important to understand the context and exactly what has happened and transpired that has led us to this unfortunate moment in which Meghan Markle's abysmal, horribly reviewed, canceled show with terrible viewership has an Emmy nomination. Let's take a look at what is actually happening behind the scenes, because the real reason this series landed a nomination after Netflix pulled the plug is way more fascinating than the tabloid spins. Ever since this news came out, there has been wild speculation online that Meghan somehow bypassed the system or bought her way in. While production companies like Netflix or Archwell do pay submission fees to put a show into the nomination race, the NATAS peer juries strictly vote on the nominees. You can't just submit, pay the fee, or pay extra to get a guaranteed nomination, and you cannot self-nominate your way into the final ballot without any peer validation at all. But there's more nuance to this that we're going to get into in a moment. More importantly, the day that this news broke, the Daytime Emmy news dropped first for Meghan Markle's show, and the internet critics and the royal commentators blasted the Television Academy, questioning how a canceled show that failed to crack Netflix's top 1,000 viewership charts, let alone the top 100, could possibly be recognized. But it's because of the lack of adequate competition, quite frankly. She was up against almost nothing well-known whatsoever. Her infamy definitely created a lot more notoriety for the show than any of the other shows that were nominated in her category. Like, I have never seen or even heard of these other shows that are nominated in her category. Let me just read the list here, okay? Because she is in a low-friction, relatively niche daytime category against traditional home improvement and pet-oriented cable syndicated shows. George to the Rescue, Wizard of Paws, never heard of them at all. And The Motherhood, A Different Breed, I don't know what those are, but those are the only things that she's up against. So, it's not exactly stiff competition here. The production value and the show itself probably will outcompete the competition. But just hours later, Prince William's cameo on Apple TV got nominated for 2 separate Emmys, and these primetime Emmys are the ones that people care about. They are the shows that most people watch. The viewership numbers are a lot bigger. They're like standard regular shows that we've all heard about before, unlike Meghan's category. Therefore, despite the public backlash, the terrible, bland show that she put out, and the horrible reviews, the horrible viewership numbers, despite all of that, Meghan actually has a really strong shot at taking home the prize, the win for that category on October 30 when the awards ceremony happens. She actually does have a very, very strong chance, probably almost a shoo-in, of winning, because no one else in her category is doing a show or has done a show that has any element of like star power or well-known name attached to it. And even though Meghan is intensely unpopular, she is still a known name. Like, there's no way to get around the fact that she is famous, more famous than those shows. So likely, especially with how much like expensive production value she forced Netflix to put into that show, the production value and the show itself probably will outcompete the competition there. And Netflix are the ones who will benefit the most from this. Like Meghan, of course, it'll just be another thing that she gets to put on her resume and brag about and look down her nose at others over and use as a way to fluff herself up even more. But Netflix actually, for canceled shows, often regularly campaigns to get them nominated for Emmys or awarded Emmys. They really try to push awards for shows that didn't work out because then it gives it more value and higher rewatch value down the line. Like people who have never seen it years down the line might give it a chance just because it says it's Emmy nominated. So they actually have a pattern of specifically trying to push for nominations or trying to push for awards for shows that they have canceled already as like a business move to add value to a canceled show and sort of try to recoup in the long run some of their investment over time. And because Netflix poured massive streaming level production capital into the cinematography and her submission reel featured high profile names like Mindy Kaling and Chrissy Teigen, her show has an undeniable gloss factor that easily outshines the other traditional daytime budgets in this category of outstanding lifestyle program. Williams' episode, however, is competing in primetime nonfiction categories, which are famously cutthroat. However, his candid conversation with Eugene Levy at Windsor Castle, where he opened up about King Charles and Princess Catherine's health battles, gave the episode a level of emotional weight and unscripted vulnerability that deeply moved industry voters. He is a genuine dark horse contender for outstanding writing for a nonfiction program and has fair odds, but it's not as much of a shoo-in because his competition is a lot stronger than Meghan's, unfortunately, in this case. So I was just as shocked as you guys, but at the same time, we're talking about the Daytime Emmys. Like, I don't even do fashion editions on those because they're just a little bit boring, bland, low budget. They're just, a little bit different. They're for the niche that you're interested in. If you're somebody who really loves a daytime show of some sort, then the Daytime Emmys are great. But that is very, very niche. It's nowhere near the same as the Primetime Emmys, which are very mainstream, very highly regarded, and basically the Oscars for television. I mean, they are a big deal for television shows. The Daytime Emmys are not. They are not at all. But Williams' episode has 2 nominations, which does help balance the odds a little bit. Outstanding hosted nonfiction series, as well as outstanding writing. He's kind of included in both of those. It really does feel like a massive contradiction from a business perspective, and just like from a common sense perspective, why a show that was universally mocked, panned, got canceled, just was kind of a train wreck and had incredibly low viewership. I mean, it was embarrassing how little viewership it had. I have videos on it. I'll link you guys the playlist that went through every episode and the reaction, the cancellation, all of it. The whole saga, the embarrassing saga of With Love Meghan, is well documented on that playlist, so go take a look. But when you look at the mechanics of how the television awards and the industry perception of these shows, the nomination makes a lot more sense. So Emmy nominations are decided by the NATAS, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and they decide nominations as well as winners with peer juries. So it's not something where Meghan could have sort of manipulated the situation or bought her way in or anything like that. Unfortunately, but fortunately for Meghan, by a stroke of luck, okay, they do not look at Rotten Tomatoes scores. They don't look at social media engagement or Netflix completion rates. They don't really care about the viewership. They don't care about any of that. The judges evaluating the lifestyle category are producers, directors, and craftspeople who are looking at the technical execution within the genre conventions, not the commercial viability of it. So they're really just trying to pay attention to how well was this show made, which is what a lot of people get frustrated at the Oscars over, or other award shows, not just the Oscars, including the Emmys, because it's not always the shows or the movies that were the most popular or the biggest deal or the most culturally relevant or the most celebrated or anything like that. It all comes down to how well was this made from an artistic perspective and a skill perspective. That's what these award shows are for. They're not people's choice. Notice she didn't get nominated for that. Additionally, the voters do not sit down and binge watch an entire series in order to see if it deserves the nomination or deserves a win. Not at all. They don't pay attention to whether or not the show drags or the host is engaging throughout the entire thing. No. Not at all. They aren't looking through the show in its entirety. Instead, networks and production teams curate and submit a specific, highly polished episode or highlight reel. Netflix submitted the strongest 30-minute cut of With Love Meghan, which likely featured her top-tier guest stars like Chrissy Teigen, Tan France, or Mindy Kaling. And that easily stood out against standard daytime cable budgets. So when you pick the best of the episodes and the best of the bunch, and you cut out all of the awkward moments and the insults that she threw at people, or the scowling, or the just bland boringness of it all, it looks polished. You can clip together something to look polished from almost anything. And that's what the juries watch and look at and evaluate in order to determine the merits of a nomination. That's it. It's just whatever the production company sends them that they base it on, which honestly, I'm not sure that that's very fair or reasonable, but that's what they do. And so that helps to explain how this happened, because everybody was like, how could this possibly have happened? Meghan must have done something. Well, she and Netflix cherry-picked the best moments and spliced them together. And my God, they had so much footage to pick from hours upon hours of bland, boring episodes that they probably made a compilation across, like taking the best 2 minutes from every single episode and just put it together into one big thing. And for a Daytime Emmy specifically, to their technical jury, a high production value oftentimes outweighs narratives or host critiques or the general vibe of the show, because the technical elements outshine the other competition. And it's also, like I said, surprisingly common for streamers to fund award campaigns for canceled shows. For Netflix, an Emmy statue adds permanent prestige to their content library, keeping the title valuable for long-tail passive viewing. For Meghan's personal brand, the nomination serves as a critical piece of industry validation, proof that the Hollywood ecosystem still recognizes her output even when mainstream audiences tune out. And that's what I think everybody is rolling their eyes over, is that she's up against no competition, regardless of this entire dynamic. She's likely to win, and she's probably going to be a snoot about it as per usual. How each of these people received the news of their nominations, though, was interestingly different. Meghan followed standard entertainment industry promotional norms. She jumped onto Instagram to publicly celebrate the milestone and publicly congratulate her crew and the Netflix producers in an annoying fashion, whereas Prince William maintained more traditional discretion. Kensington Palace issued 0 press releases, and William has not publicly acknowledged the 2 nominations, treating the media appearance as a piece of royal service rather than an entertainment career milestone. It's a textbook real-time display of American celebrity branding versus British royal protocol, but also, I would argue, it was a smarter move for William to just kind of stay out of it. It wasn't something that he, made himself. He wasn't involved in making the show. So if William had come out and made a bunch of, statements about it, or made even just a post celebrating it or congratulating on it, it might have felt a little weird or out of place, or like he was taking credit for something that he only joined for 1 episode. So I think that was the right move from a PR perspective for sure. But what do you guys think about this? I sure do hope that William's episode, the show that William participated in with Eugene Levy, I hope that it does win, because it was a great episode and it's a really interesting show. I really quite liked it. And that episode in particular really resonated with people on a cultural level. As for Meghan, what are you going to do? That's just one of those things. It's kind of funny. It feels a little bit like a participation statue or a participation award, because the other shows that she's up against nobody's heard of them. And furthermore, more importantly, perhaps, they don't have the budget that she had. So it's kind of a David and Goliath situation when it comes to the production value and the budget and the celebrity guests and things like that. Those other people probably just don't stand a chance, which is sad for them. But what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. I will be back soon with more videos. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a happy day ahead. Bye. Yes. Mm-hmm. You want to lay down? You want to lay down so we can proceed with the video? Because I can't do the video if you're gonna be moving around. I can do it if you lay down. Okay? Can you lay down for me? Oh, good boy. After Netflix pulled the plug is way more fascinating than the tabloid spins. Oh, and so is Kenny. Hi, say hi, Kenji. Say hello. Say hello. Beautiful boy. The NATAS, which is the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Kenny, you rubbed really hard on my ring. Are you okay? Why don't you just lay down and I can pet you while I work? Look, you can chew on my hand. Okay? Right here.